So welcome. I just know you by FT, but I don't know like what your actual first name is. You don't have to give it away. Finn? Okay, cool. Yeah, so Finn,
easy.
welcome to the conversation. I wouldn't say like podcast necessarily anymore, but I've pivoted to Substack and I think this is pretty cool. Thanks for coming on board. Just to give the listeners some context, we basically ran into each other because someone in our Discord, which is one of like maybe the premier draft community for like people who just like want to chat draft and whatnot. Even like we don't run a lot of leagues out of there, but just want to like get advice and get updates and whatnot. Someone in our league sent me over to your Discord, which is like a very competitive Supercoach environment for Classic. And I guess you just said g'day and you were really friendly in there, and then we sort of just cross paths a couple of times, and then you ended up winning. Congratulations, the overall SC Classic competition, which is just unfathomable. Like, very rarely do I see the winner, and to see it in the Discord, and like I saw people tagging you going nuts. I guess it was like the Sunday Arvo or night or whatever it was. I can't quite remember, where like I was in your Discord, your community Discord, seeing like you get tagged, and I was like, oh, I've spoken to this guy, I've interacted with him, and they're saying like he's won it, and I couldn't tell like, is it an inside joke, like is it referring to something else, like what's going on? But you had actually like won the whole thing, and like I don't know how they knew, when they knew. Maybe it was like the day after on recount. Maybe like I think Sunday night they were popping off, and then Monday they were like waiting on recounts to confirm it. Just walk me through that. Was that actually how it happened? Like, was it known on Sunday, then confirmed on Monday with recounts?
That weekend was a movie.
Yeah.
So I was in the lead for the last few rounds.
True.
And I guess as we get closer towards the end, the anticipation was building, and I guess obviously I felt like I played my cards right in the last round, and we kind of had a fair idea leading into Sunday, which was the final game day, and it was pretty much wasn't set in stone until the very end game. So the start of the last game, so final lockout once the last game kicked off, which was basically confirmed. And then we were just waiting on Monday when lockout lifted, and then obviously the final results were public.
Just insane. Was there like did the person you think that was closest to potentially beating you, or the couple of people, did they have plays in the last game that you didn't and stuff, or was it like pretty standard by that point?
More the latter. It was standard by the very end day. There was one person who ended up coming second. He had a monster last round, and his uniques were Cody Nikarima going up against that reserve grade Raiders team, and I think he ended up scoring like 130 or something.
Oh my god.
So it kind of kept him with a slight chance. And then he also had Captain Lomax up against Newcastle, which obviously like the best matchup to go against. Yeah. I luckily had the flexibility to switch my captaincy to Lomax at the very end, which so the equation would have been like, because I decided to loop Tedesco, if I didn't switch to Lomax, he would have needed to score like 200 to beat me, or I just guarantee the win now by switching my captain to Lomax and cancelling that out.
Right. So
at the end of the day, it wouldn't have mattered, but like, you know, if Lomax scored like 250 and broke the record or something, wouldn't matter.
Wow. So you had it that dialed to a T, like your lead was so established that you kind of knew that it was worth just mimicking the Lomax play to just reduce any like crazy risk.
Yeah, and that's our Discord server was over at Secret Society. That was obviously very helpful. They were all over just as much as me, but I had to do myself the justice of nerding out. May as well, right? With so much on the line.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm all about it. And you do mention Secret Society. I didn't want to mention it without you, just in case it was truly a secret. But I also am happy to like mention the group, because I've never seen so many high-ranking players accumulate in one place and discuss stuff, so frequently. And some of the analysis I've seen pre-season's crazy. So more than happy to sort of mention it and plug it. But like ours, we don't really go crazy talking about it, because it's sort of like, it's private and we can't like have too many people in there because it's draft night, right? Like there's just too much sort of at stake, and the same probably for you guys. Truly, once things are in motion, I guess in Classic and teams are locked in, you probably don't want certain people seeing it. But ultimately, there's so many decisions along the way that change it from round one. Probably not the biggest deal. So that's what probably leads into like kind of what I want to know was when you look back now, just pretty fundamental question is what actually do you think won you the season? Was it like pre-season prep? Was it draft patience? Was it taking a risk, backing your gut? Like talk me through like when you just, it's been a year, no, not a year, but 6 months or something. Like what do you sort of boil it down to now that you're relaxed and enjoying it?
Well, it's felt like a while now. Looking back on it in retrospect, definitely how I started the season and its flow-on effect is what I think won me the season. I feel like I got my starting structure right. Notably, like I set up with cheap hookers. I had stability in center wing and second row. I had a couple gun options on the bye with Jaden Campbell and Tino, obviously because the Titans had the bye first up. And I feel like because of that and also just injury luck and stuff, I had the luxury of saving trades early. And I was, I guess, leading up to the bye period, I got up into that top 10 sort of range. So I was right up there early. And with trades up the sleeve, it allowed me to play a fairly easy game.
Oh, wow. Because obviously I didn't follow your journey because I came in, I think, maybe 10 rounds less to go into the Discord. So you were like really spent the whole season on the edge of just, chewing your fingernails down to the edge. Like just being like, knowing you're in the mix, that would be nuts.
It was a bit stressful, yeah. I try to keep a level head and just take it as it comes, though.
Yeah, you're a chill guy, like compared to me, I can tell. But had you ever like been in the mix in the past, like in the other years you'd played? Had you ever been top 50 type thing?
No, not to that extent. Like I've had brief periods of being in the top 100, top 200, but like nothing where I was thinking, oh wow, like I'm genuinely a chance to win. And it's going to be, for me, I feel like it's going to be very hard to replicate. So I'm not going to take last season for granted at all.
No, I think it's one of those games, and I've paid attention to enough creators that have, spoken about like really high top 100 finishes, and they've since my years, because we started on the NRL fantasy app in our first 2 years of draft, because like we didn't know any better. Then we came across to Supercoach, so I started listening to Supercoach creators, right? And I've never really heard of anyone replicating too many times a major finish. I know it's been done, but like it is just insane to do it because it's just so many variables. It's 27 rounds of chaos basically, right? And plus the starting team. So if you think of each decision is a player selected, every trade is a decision, and every captaincy, it's like it's over 50 decisions before round 3 you have to make that can vary. So imagine you extrapolate it out, so just ridiculous.
It's a marathon. It's very mentally draining, especially if you let it be.
Yeah, exactly. And so on that, I was going to sort of ask, because I didn't know the story, like when you realised you were tracking to like really have a chance, but it sounds like by like, within the first several weeks, you kind of knew, oh man, if I play my cards right, I'm genuinely a shot. Or was it not even that? You just thought, oh, it's been a good run and I'll just see what happens?
Yeah, I want to think the latter. I guess, yeah. So round 10, I believe it would have been my standout round where that was my highest weekly rank.
Right.
And it got me to 10th overall. That kind of just everything went right that round. If you think like you'd be familiar with the flex spot dropping out.
Yeah.
My lowest scoring player scored about 65, so I would have been better off actually keeping that score. And just my captain banged as well, like Pappenhausen against the Tigers when he scored like 180.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, but I honestly don't think that I was genuinely a chance of winning until post-bye period when I was up in the top 5.
Yeah, right. So bye period meaning like Origin?
Yeah, so like, yeah, the major, the Origin period, like rounds 12 to 18.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, interesting. And, It's interesting you said you started, because what I wanted to know was like, you know, for me, the fork in the road moments, but I didn't realise that I think you said you started with like JC and Tino and absorbed the bye round one, which I think a lot of people would have been hesitant to do because it doesn't feel fun. Like, it's very much a patient man's game. Can you talk about, or just explain quickly, like what the thinking was there on those two guys and the process there?
Sure. I guess simply put, I just thought they were the best two options in their position at their price point.
Yeah.
So for Tino I was locked into starting.
Yeah.
Because I knew I wanted him, and I just wanted to save a trade by starting with him.
Yeah.
Like, worst case, like, you know, he underperforms, but gets injured, whatever. But because he was such a bargain in Classic, and I knew that like very good chance people are gonna have to spend a trade to get him in.
Yeah.
And with Gamble, I think the reservation around him was that he's not entirely proven. He only had like 2024 was one good season by him in the halves, and then he moved to halfback to accommodate Brimson at 5'8", and people probably wondered how that would affect his role. But I mean, you watch a lot of footy as well. You'd see like the way his kind of play style, it won't really matter. He's going to accumulate stats from like being so ball dominant, running the ball, offload, tackle, bust, the likes. Obviously the goal kicking as well. So I think 1, 6 or 7, he's going to be an elite option. And in the 5'8" position, like that's probably like the worst position in terms of really good options. So. And I thought he was the most expensive. I thought worst case, if he underperformed, I could downgrade him to the best 5'8".
Yeah, it's good logic. Yeah. I think for regular Joes like me, we get caught up in, like, I'm big on just get like the best in slot players and not overthink it, and just like, you know, kind of follow the crowd a bit in Classic because I'm not putting as much energy into it. But I think you've proven that, like, just doing a little bit more analysis around like the worst case scenarios, taking a bit of a risk, because I think last year I did have a little strategy which I just wanted to reduce the guys I had on in bye. So I started with like AFB, and I thought, he'll get all this run at the Sharks, like he's so sick, they're a better team, he'll have like more momentum. But then his minutes got cut and he just was kind of so mediocre, and we will touch on him later as we talk about a few players. But, you know, I thought I was being like really smart, going like all these like non-origin playing guys so I could save trades during the buys and whatnot, and then it did end up working. But I was just so far behind the 8 ball from a points perspective because I didn't get like the right studs. And the one thing that made me not completely flop was I knew to go to Haas like week 2 or whatever it was. I just went bang, jump on that. But didn't start with him or anything like that. So a few little rookie errors, and probably just like wanting to have my guys on the field in week 1 this year. I'll pay a bit more attention to doing more long-term plays like you did. What else can we talk about just in regards to Classic before we move on? Because just for anyone listening, it is going to be a longer conversation, which is good because I'm going to run through some of my sleeper picks and stuff like that, and guys I'm not sure on, and get Finn's opinion. But this is a good question I want to ask just lastly on Classic and your run. And if people go nuts and want to hear more about the story, we can obviously catch back up. But what do you think you do deliberately less than like the other players in your friendship group, in secret or elsewhere? Like, what is something that you see yourself going, I actually do this less, and then it ends up benefiting you? Like you said, you don't panic before kickoff and that sort of stuff. What are some other things you've thought about that you go, oh wow, it's a strength of mine, I tend to stay calm, or whatever it is?
I guess general, like if I were to compare myself to just the general Supercoach community, I think I tend to not overreact to if a player puts up a bad score. So I guess the best example I could give would be like if you play someone, and like what we do in Classic a lot, like you play the center wing roulette, especially early season. Like if you want to play cheap guys in your lineup, or say like you trade in a cheapie or a mid ranger, and he's not like the most popular pick, but it's a semi-popular. You trade him in and play him. If he puts up a low score, I think what a lot of people would do would be to double down on that and not play them the next week. I really prioritize the law of averages. So, for example, if say I played Purdue and he didn't have like the best start to the season, I think the first couple rounds he was getting outscored by other guys like Shibasaki, Toya. But I felt like if I held my guns and played him, which ended up working out really well because Purdue really came into his own, put up some big scores. I guess if I compared myself to non-Purdue owners, how do I explain this? Like, if I don't play Purdue after, they'll say the week after he puts up a bad score. If I don't play him and he scores well, then I'm behind the people who played him both weeks, and I'm also behind the people who didn't play him.
Right. Yep. Interesting. Yep. That's interesting.
As opposed to if I played him and played the law of averages game, I allow myself to, reap the rewards or the losses, like take the ups and downs of that player. It's not a be-all and end-all, but that's something I'd really like to take into account, especially like if I'm deliberating options to play or to trade. Yeah,
no, that's awesome. I just, because I didn't put a lot of thought into my classic story because it wasn't amazing, and but I do remember getting my CT dubs wrong. I remember overreacting, like jumping on guys, and when I say overreacting, I wasn't just looking at ownership percentages and clicking trade in. I would listen to a couple of podcasts. I would, watch the footy, obviously, and make decisions, but I just was way too flippant with CT dubs and burning trades there when I could have just been a bit more patient and taken my time. And whenever I did make a trade, I picked the wrong of the two options. I just tried to anti-pod or fade Lomax sort of all season, just go away from him. But yeah, that was a mistake, and just little dumb things like that. I think I might have finally said, screw it, I'll get Val in, and then that was when he got injured. I just missed all the key moves. Even Mark, I didn't think Mark would keep pushing out what he did, and we'll touch on him later, but that was another guy I missed in Classic. So you can see CT Dubs just murdered me. And then I played fullback roulette, which was stupid, just the wrong call every time. I read something really quickly in the Discord earlier, whether it was last week or this week, I can't remember. Am I right in saying people got off Tommy but you stuck strong? Is that a part of your story, or is that something else I misread?
Yeah, no, that's right. I guess that's also kind of a fork in the road moment that was very influential.
Yeah.
Because obviously what happened was he went down in round 2. I think the Warriors. He went down with a minor injury, but we all know Turbo and his injury history. We don't know if it's going to be 1 week or 4 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
I decided, and a lot of people decided, we weren't going to mess around with that.
Yeah.
We'll trade him out, trade him to another fullback.
Yeah.
And obviously what ended up happening was he came back. He took a round off, and he came back against Parramatta.
Yeah.
And, as you probably remember, Parramatta were awful to start the season.
Yeah.
They were probably the prime matchup for a high upside player like Tom Trbojevic.
Yeah.
So people naturally be I really got to get him in. I got to do what I can. I got to move heaven and earth.
Yep. Yep.
I decided that I couldn't. It wasn't in my best interest. I can't remember if for financial reasons or whatever. But I ended up, copying whatever he was going to score, and I knew that he was going to be a popular captaincy option. So, but I got very lucky because obviously he got injured that game.
Yep.
And scored 25 or something. So obviously the consequences of the people that brought Turbo back was because they probably had to use 1 or 2 of their first boosts for him.
Yep.
And they probably had to boost to trade him straight back out.
Yep.
And using your boosts on a player like that for a negative return, that's really hard to come back from.
No, exactly. That's a good one. And did you ever go back to the Turbo well in the season, or did you manage to get to Teddy in time and just roll the Teddy type, drinky types, or what was your fullback story?
So that was actually who I traded Turbo to, was Tedesco.
Oh, how did you pick that? Because a lot of people weren't thinking he could sustain it. And as I mentioned to you before we press record, I had Teddy, and that kind of didn't necessarily target him hardcore, but I ranked him accordingly, which was like top 3 kind of fullback. What was telling you that he was the guy at that point? Was it his price, or was it something else you were feeling and seeing or hearing?
Price would have played a factor. I think also he ran into a couple good matchups.
Yeah.
I think he had the Warriors and Titans and another team that escapes my mind. But I also didn't think he was going to regress too much from what he was, and he ended up proving again that he's a premier Supercoach option.
He's the greatest of all time, in fact. But like statistically, he is.
That's right.
Dude, his durability. Sorry, I'm just going on my Teddy glazing, but you carry on. Sorry.
No, go for it. Go for it.
No, I just can't help it because he's just the king, mate. Like, and just to own him from a draft perspective, you're just getting to watch a guy give 100% every week, which beats a lot of other superstars, as you'd know from watching your favourite team. There's a few guys that kind of trot around the park and don't tip it in, whereas like one of the joys of Teddy is you're watching a guy just give everything every week, and I think that's an underrated part of Supercoach in general, draft and classic, is having a bit of ownership of people you do enjoy. But man, good on you for picking Teddy there. That sounds like, I know you've mentioned a few things defining, but getting Teddy at the right time and then backing it would have been a huge part of your story, hey, like just by staying up at the top.
Oh, yeah, because I was able to just hold him the rest of the way through.
Bro, unreal.
Well, of course, he didn't get picked in Origin, and the Roosters played all the major buy rounds and stuff.
Yep, tell me about it.
Buy rounds.
Yep, tell me about it, boy. I had that mapped out. I was frothing. Oh, it was the best thing ever.
So yeah, it made sense, and he would have easily been my top point scorer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, agreed. Cool. All right, that was really good. Thanks for talking through that. I know it's like probably a bit hard to try and remember, but I can't believe how many things you remembered there, and just like some of the matchups. Your brain must be pretty unique to be able to like recall some of those teams and rounds and moments, because I can't tell you like nearly anything. But this next section is going to be a little bit more player centric, because that's what this is not meant to be about. But I think the value of us meeting in the middle, because I can't really add much value to classic, whereas I think we can meet in the middle and talk about draft, because it's about just players, right? Evaluating them, what we think they're going to do or not do, and it helps you and it helps me. So I'm just going to like mention we'll go through positionally, just for listeners. We're going to go through each position as they are on the app, and then I'm just going to mention a few names and kind of like my thoughts or my issues, and then just get Finn's just response pretty quickly, and we're just going to move through them. And I think one of the rules I want from Finn, I'm allowed to fence sit because I need to be, but I think I want you to tell me what you do or don't think, and you're not allowed to be neutral. Only I am. So you tell me if you back them, tell me, and if you don't, tell me I don't. No fence sitting from you. That's your rule for this. So just starting with hookers.
I'll try my best.
Yeah, you'll be fine. But hookers first, because they're the worst. But Blake Brailey, the big name, I think, in draft circles, and whether he can replicate. I think if you were as clued in as I was, there was literally a month, it was like 4 rounds, maybe 5, where he was just a different player, and the scores were up above 65, and people were rushing to get him in Classic, and draft owners were thinking, this is my ticket to a championship, all this sort of thing. Is he going to do it all season this year, or was that just a flash, and it's just going to be every few rounds he hits that upside? What do you make of Blake Brailey in 2026, Finn?
Yeah, I don't want to fence it. It's so hard because
it's so hard, isn't it?
I remember so obviously he did all that at the back end.
Yep.
And you could notice a change in his play style where he was really more like ball dominant.
Bro, it was crazy. Yep.
Like he looked like the best hooker in the comp, right?
Easily.
And really translated to Supercoach. But I feel like from memory he did that 2024 as well, where the back half of the season he took that on, and obviously his Supercoach scores reflected that. It's just kind of hard to know where to take him in drafts, because I don't want to say flash in the pan, but I wouldn't be expecting him to really majorly outscore the likes of Grant again.
Yep.
Another thing with Brailey is I think the talks are getting a bit louder about him potentially playing Origin.
Yeah, agreed.
Which I think would be well deserved if he continues on the form he was showing.
Yep, agreed.
Which would hurt his draft stocks.
1,000%. And I've got it noted that the Sharks are what I like to call like an Origin team, meaning they're guys like we spoke about, Teddy. They play a few more rounds, or like sort of the way their bye schedule is during that period is quite beneficial, meaning they don't have all their buys on the standard one. So if you have Sharks players, they will be like scoring points for you if you play bye rounds in draft. So that hurts him a bit, because now what you get is you're going to get him missing the standard game and then missing when he goes on the bye that's the off standard bye, which sounds very complex to verbalise, but I have an article on the Substack sort of showing that in a screenshot of just kind of how the things land. So I've got Blake Brailey like a big handful, like a tier below Harry Grant, a big handful below him. I'm a bit harsh on him now that I think about it, because I just don't know. Like, I think when you look at his average, it's still netted out to be like not amazing, because you've got to take the whole year in totality, even though that period was pretty great. Would you be placing someone like Blake Brailey like quite close to Harry Grant, like, or would you just still keep a pretty significant tier gap between them if they're both going to play Origin?
Oh, if we knew they were both playing Origin, obviously Grant is. If we knew Brailey was playing Origin, I'd have Grant ahead.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd probably have them in the same tier.
Oh, okay.
And they'd be the two hookers in tier 1, and then there'd be a gap to the rest.
Okay. Yep. All right. No, I appreciate that. That's good that you have a stance, because I've currently got Grant as the number 1, just from like less so last year, but like just taking on what we've seen from him across 4 years as opposed to Brailey. Like, Grant is so much more devastating at like even scoring himself and whatnot. Like, his running game's been a bit quieter last year, but I had a big gap. But I think what I'll do is find a middle ground between what you're saying and what I've got in my draft hooker set up. There's a world where Brailey just disappears when you need him most and just scores 45 or 44 in tackles, and I think that's why I've got him pegged where I've got him. And then if he plays Origin, it hurts him doubly as much, but I think my current ranking on him is a bit too harsh, so glad we had that chat. I can't ask you for auction validation because you've never played auction, so I can't say what price do you reckon, so I'm not going to do that to you, but I need to have a think about it, because my mindset is, even though on my draft board there's like a huge, which you've seen to help you prep for the convo, there's a huge gap between them, but that's only because of the money, not because of the talent, if that makes sense. Like, I don't view Blake as way worse than Harry, but I also couldn't, in my mind, knowing how I draft on draft day, pay, $18 for Blake Brailey, whereas I could pay $20 for Harry Grant. They're just different kind of guys. So, but I'm gonna adjust that. I think maybe, having said what you said, the Origin hurts, but maybe he's worth $14 or something. I'm just gonna bump him up a bit ahead of the next guy. But that was good. Jake Simpkin, let's make this one quick though, because that was a good chat. Is he genuinely like a starter in a draft 10-team league, or is he just chatter and a mirage? Is he a real thing, do you think, in draft?
I think so. I'll say yes, because they don't have any other hooker except for Zach Docker-Clay, and he's like a journeyman at this point. He's not first grade material. So I think Simpkin will play as many minutes as he can handle. Yep. And when he did, he averaged 55, 60, which I think is more than enough.
100% serviceable. All right, that's a yes. I like it. I've got him in my rankings. He's just in the group with Verrills, JMK, Wadig, and you're happy with him to start, but you just couldn't pay. You don't want to pay overs for him. You just grab him when you grab him and move on and hope for the best.
I think that's a good tier. Yeah, okay. I think that's the right tier to be in.
We sort of touched on Harry Grant, so I'll skip this one. My question was really, can people actually take Grant in round 2? Maybe that is worth asking for Snake drafters, because you will play Snake with your boys, in secret and whatnot. So would you ever take Grant in round 2, or is it just too rich? Because I personally wouldn't.
So if I'm thinking typically 10-man leagues or 12-man leagues, so it'd be the top 20, 24.
Yep, top 20, 24, yeah.
I remember typically he'd go in the top 15.
He would typically, but last year was a big difference. It was a real hit to his stock.
So you'd have him round 3 areas?
Yeah, I would, and only if I was a team builder who liked it. I don't always build my teams good player in every spot. Sometimes I go for major stacks, just crush 2RF, crush fullback, crush halfback, and figure the rest out. I get a bit weird occasionally, but you sound like someone who's patient and smart. Would you ever take Harry Grant round 2 this season, or would you happily just push him to 3 where everyone else has him?
I want to preface I'm only a casual for drafts, so I'm going to need your help a lot with this, but I would probably say back end around 2. I'd have him.
You'd
Like
still
if
grab
he
him
was
there,
still
yep.
available.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And is that because you just think he's the best hooker, or do you see like something happening on the footy field with like no Pappenhausen? Do you think Grant takes not a leap but takes a step back to a Grant of old because the team demands it?
I think partly, yeah. There's no Katoa, he's a massive loss as well.
Huge, yep.
So if Grant would probably have to take on a bit more responsibility. He did feel a bit more selfless last season.
Yeah. He looked to me like a guy that's becoming like a bit more of a veteran, where he just was like, I don't need to overplay my hand, and physically I can't take 80 minutes, 70 minutes at 100% acceleration all the time. He looked like someone really pacing himself. It didn't quite work out because they lost the granny, but that's what I saw, and I'm worried that is the way he now plays, which is I'll just inject myself when needed, as needed, rather than trying to dominate the game all game, and I think that impacts his ceiling. But I'm with you. I think if you're someone who's really conservative and you just want to lock in the best hooker by a fair margin, or to your opinion, maybe not so much over Brailey, but to me by like a fair whack, then perhaps Grant is takeable in the late second round. I just want to call out that he does have the bye in round 24. I just remembered, so also a reason why I would push him to round 3 actually.
I didn't. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I didn't remember that.
You don't think of that with Classic. That's like our whole life in draft, bro.
I know draft. That's definitely more important.
It's like all we think about. It's crazy. So moving on to front rowers, my boy, TMay. Are we like, how much regression are you baking into your analysis on him in Classic? I know he's not someone you'd start with because he's priced at 80, blah, 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 blah. But just from a footy perspective, minutes and anything like that, are you expecting him to replicate last year or even improve or do worse?
I couldn't say improve. I do think he's probably, what he produces probably his ceiling.
Yep, agreed.
And like he would have been like in drafts, like if you ranked players, they could probably be like top 5, right? Last season.
Oh yeah. I think he was a top. I think just on like the way he played nearly like basically every game and just kept hammering in between 68 and 82. I think top 5 draft player, top 7, top 8, 100%.
I mean, I would probably expect the minutes to bump down a bit. They actually, obviously, they picked up an actual second rower in Pierce Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd expect someone like Seyfarth to move to the middle rotation, so they wouldn't have to spend an interchange on a second rower, because they did a bit of a job share there, whereas
they did
plug this ball there, then it makes the middle a bit more congested. And I feel like TMay did burn out a little bit as the season went on.
I agree.
So I do think he regresses a bit, and I would have that baked in both Classic and draft.
100%. Is he just a safe second rounder still though? Like just a captain guy still? Like,
yeah, I'd still view him in that regard.
Yep, same. Yep, no, happy with that. Someone that's a bit more like interesting is Isaiah Papali'i. Like we've seen the highs of him at the Eels, we've seen the lows of him at the Tigers. Is he a bounce back candidate, someone that can like reach new heights, or is he just like the name price type guy? Is there a trap there for drafters, do you think, that are like a bit too high on the fact he's at Penrith and expecting like, because I guess just to clarify, year 2 at Penrith you'd think there'd be more of a defined role, maybe like they find a way to like, unlock him, but there's just so much that Penrith do that doesn't make sense when it comes to like their second rowers. They keep hammering out Scotty Sorensen, and he's injured every bloody day, and then they have like job sharing and they're playing Papali'i through the middle. Just what do you make of him in general?
Well, I like him. I'm not too sure because like in the Classic space, he's not talked about that much.
No, of course.
I'm not too sure how high people are on him. He's probably a high variance sort of player and what he could output. He really came into his own at the back half of last season, like naturally with Penrith.
Yeah, he did.
And he kind of did that in the middle and on the edge.
Yeah,
I feel like if he was locked in that starting back row spot, that'd be better for him. If he had like a hybrid role of like playing on the edge and in the middle, because I think he averaged like nearly 70 in the run home last season, which is elite stuff. He's got the dual.
The dual is everything I think that makes him interesting in FRF. Is you could get this guy that could nearly play back row for all we know if injuries and stuff break his way. But it's the duel that's crazy. But yeah, sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
No, I think that's good. Like the duel's invaluable, right? It's hard to really it's hard to quantify how valuable that is.
Yeah, his run at the back end of the year from round 22, 82, 88, 73, 63, buy or rest in 26. I think that was a rest, and then 103. There was 3 tries in that run, which is probably not quite replicable, but there was he was playing that run. He was 17 off the bench, but for whatever reason, 73 minutes, 13, so lock, and then 16 off the bench, and he played 49 minutes. So 4 of those games I just read out, so from the 82, 88, 70, so 4 of those were sub 50-minute games. So this man was just like unlocked. Someone, gave him a white monster or something in the morning, and he just went, I'm going to rip and tear. Yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts, because like he's just one that I've got as like a spicy kind of like boom potential guy, where if just the right injury goes his way, you're looking at like probably one of the best second front rowers you could draft. But I just feel irresponsible telling people to draft him at the same time, because he could just be a bench guy, right? Like, it's hard.
It is. I feel like if you're looking at him as a mid-round flyer, yeah, I'd agree. Like, obviously, the ceiling would be like, a 70 plus average, and he's like, in the top 5 front rowers, and he's like in the top 5 or 6 second rowers. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's tough. He's like someone I think you need to just monitor his price. The later you get him, the better. His ceiling is like Toby Couchman, right? Just PPM psycho stuff, but also his floor is bench guy, 40 minutes for 50 points. But I think he's startable, so I think he's a really good guy to get is to prioritise as a front row too for the right price. My last one for front rowers is AFB, Adam Fanua-Blake versus Joey Tapine. Is there a genuine tier gap in your mind for these guys, or like am I punishing AFB for too much of last year's performance? Does he improve, or is there that tier gap? I just want to also say Joey Tapine does have the finals bye, so standard league buys are finals, finish the grand finals for round 26. Tups is on bye, so if we could just kind of put that to the side and talk about weekly output, I've pegged Joey at kind of like roughly 70 average, and I'm always really conservative on my average predictions because I think it's weird to not be conservative, but let's just say he's a 70. I've still got AFB like as last year, kind of 66, 65. Do you see them as a tier gap, or if you were drafting today, who would you go for if they were both in like their end to start around 3?
Oh, yeah. So you want me to disregard the finals bye?
Just for the 1 second. Just for like 1 second.
Yeah, okay. Gun to my head, I'd go Tapine. He's a little bit more proven year on, year out. Year in, year out. His role's a bit more secure than someone like Fanua-Blake, whose minutes can fluctuate a bit.
Big time,
but I guess the ceiling's a bit higher with someone like Fanua-Blake. Like, say, obviously he's capable of scoring a few tries at the start of the season. You could potentially sell high, because of the reasons you outlined.
Yep. And I just realised, like, I didn't really update my front row rankings since reviewing the Sharks by strength schedule in AFB's Kiwi, Tapine's Kiwi. As a Souths guy, tell me, does Keaon sit above Joey and AFB, or does Keaon sit below Joey and AFB?
I would have them at least in the same tier.
Okay, so they're just all in one tier, and it's pick your poison is your viewpoint, basically.
Well, yeah, Keaon averaged about 80 once he moved into the middle and started playing those big minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously, like someone like people like Fifita and Murray coming back in is going to congest the pack a bit. So I don't think the output's going to be quite what it was.
Yeah.
As he was the alpha in that pack.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I would at least have them the same tier as Tapine and Fanua-Blake.
I love that. Okay, so help me do some work here. Is Terrell and Tino, are they neck and neck for different reasons? Like Tino plays Origin, but his duel has like more upside, whereas Terrell's like steady base king. Are they the same kind of level, Terrell and Tino? Who's ahead there if you had to pick?
Terrell, but if Tino picks up that dual update before round 1, it'd make things interesting. If he'd be FRF eligible.
Yep. If he was
I'm
FRF,
expecting.
rank. If Tino gets FRF, rank Tino, Terrell, Joey, Keaon, AFB for me on the spot. Really tough. Really hard, I know, but do your best. Like, rank them. Just say Tino's FRF. Like, is Terrell still the best front rower of that 5?
Yeah, so I'll go quick fire.
Yep.
I'd go Terrell, then Tino, not much in it.
Yeah.
And then slight gap, Keaon, another slight gap, type
Wow.
in AFB.
Keaon, wow. A lot of people are like, I've seen or heard, they're a little bit down on Keaon because he's leaving. Is he going to get the minutes? Like, what's the deal there? But you've got him above those other guys. I'm happy with that.
Let's just flog him because he's not going to be there another season.
Well, that's what I would think too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would be of that opinion, but who knows? But okay, that was really well done on the spot. Appreciate that. That's something I need to keep thinking. I'm finding it really hard to place Joey, Keaon, and AFB. Would you, in a draft with your mates, say tomorrow, would you take Gus Crichton before you looked at a Joey Tapine, a Keaon, or an AFB?
Oh, you're asking hard-hitting questions.
Sorry, this is like really interesting stuff.
No, it's really good. It's really good. It's really good. Because I am quite high on Angus.
Cool. That's cool. I love it.
I'll say, I guess because there are more quality options in second row than
100%.
front row.
Yeah.
I think I would lean towards. So we're comparing them to like Tino and AFB, are we?
Yeah. So even though they're front rowers, what I'm trying to do as I ask you these questions is, you've seen my board. I'm making hand signals, realizing I'm not on camera to you. My apologies. But what I'm trying to do is cross-analyze the positional differences and go, like, is Angus Crichton worth more than Joey Tapine at an overall board perspective? Because in my mind, he's like, I would pay, say, $24 for Gus Crichton, but I couldn't really bring myself to pay $24 for Joey Taps, who's not playing my grand final. And I couldn't get to $24 for AFB because I could just grab Paddy Carrigan for $16. So what I'm asking you is, if you're staring down the barrel of a snake draft with your boys in society in 2 weeks, and it's your picks up and you're looking at the best player available is Angus Crichton, and then Joey Tapine's right behind him, or say Keaon's ahead of Angus because of his average last year, but you're high on Angus, who do you take first? Because most people probably take Angus given the quote-unquote upside, but what do you do?
I would take Keaon first.
Okay, cool.
And then it's hard. I think maybe, Angus would, for me personally, would be in the same tier as Tapine and AFB.
Wow, okay, cool. All right. So what I've learned from this is, there's a few pros and cons, but I think your evaluation on Keaon has helped me. Maybe I've got Keaon pegged a little low, a little undervalued, because I'm just unsure of what his role and all this is, which needs to be taken into account. But if you're that confident, that's something I need to think about, that one. Very good chat. That's awesome. All right, second rowers, we just kind of touched on him. Let's get into it. David Fifita, is he a stay away entirely for drafters, or is he worth the risk if people kind of like aren't kind of giving him that top, like round 4 and below respect? Like, as a Souths guy and just knowing what you know, is he a stay away, or is he someone find a way to get him?
Like, is the stayaways and don't draft him, and like no one drafts him? Because if he was on the waivers, like,
no, that's a different story, right? I just mean he's gonna go. It's just a matter where. Like, but are you like so unsure about his health and his role at Souths and all this that you just wouldn't find him as someone worth pursuing, or are you looking at him closely and just really monitoring and trying to grab him at the best spot?
I think I would pursue him pretty aggressively.
Okay, so we're in agreement. That's nice, because I've been a bit on a David Fifita island. I'm the only person I know in the circles to have David Fifita ranked 2RF1, but now I've got Tino above him because the duel's going to come in, I think, and the minutes changed. Ever since old mate went down, I put Tino above, but right as a gap from Tino to Fifita for me for job security, but I've actually got Fifita, the next guy, man. I think if I can monitor his price, snake drafters, it's a bit harder, but I think I'm like nearly, back on him, and I'm a risk-averse guy, so it's a bit different for me. But you're saying you're with me. You're like, yep, let's get Fifita in basically somehow.
Yeah, I'm with you. I guess there are probably slight questions about the role and how many minutes he'll play, but I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
If he has that secure role, plays like essentially 80 minutes, he'll be in that top tier in the 2RF.
Yep.
And it's gonna work out for you. If you're kind of on that island, because you won't have to pay as much for him, right?
No, exactly. 100%. And I have him ranked there, and I mentioned this in my 2RF video for anyone who is on the Substack listening, because what it does for me is I'm moving through my draft board. His name will be really high, and I can just keep monitoring. And if he then gets nominated in the draft, and if I see his name there, it kind of puts it in headlights for me. So it's a little bit of just me abusing my board strategy, but I'm also happy to stand on that island that I think I've got David above Crichton, even though I like Crichton a lot this year. David won't play Origin, Crichton will. Dill Lucas, I love, but I think he's nearly going to get that injury-prone label for me, but he's one of my favourite players to watch, so I'll find a way to own him. This is all in one tier. They're together. I'm just like trying to rank within a tier. Preston, I think he'll play Origin, honestly. He's such a gun. I think he'll be in and around it, so I've got him just beneath Dill Lucas, and then I've got Bo Firma in that group because he may not have the same output, but because he has a great strength of schedule, if he doesn't play Origin and a good final strength of schedule, I've got him just making the fringe of that tier. So that's my kind of like my gun to RF grouping. So I love hearing that you think Fifita is worth having a sniff about, and we're not recommending you take Fifita round 2 or anything, but I think we agree that he's someone we should be really paying close attention to that value in drafts. On value, my guy this year, one of my big guys, I'm expecting a bounce back from Yo, and I think because of the price, and as you know, in draft, you want to abuse the app, and Yo's average is going to be low in the app, and therefore his name will be down there. Is he going to bounce back, or just not worth the name tax as Australian captain anymore? What do you reckon?
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think he also was a bit of a victim to Penrith's slow start.
Yes.
But like he's normally very durable.
Yep.
He'll play Origin. Obviously, that's
which sucks. That's the knock. Yeah,
that is the knock on him. But he's typically essentially 70 to 80 minutes, 70 plus average, and
Yep, no, cool. Good answer. I'm not going to quiz you anymore. I'm happy. Britton Nickera, are you believing in a rebound or only if he slides? I saw an amazing article in your Discord on Nickera, and it just got the juices flowing. Believing in a rebound or just monitoring value?
I can't fence it.
Yeah.
I believe in a bounce back in the sense that, like, objectively, he will, like, he's priced at his floor. He had a couple injury and suspension. Like, he had a suspension, so he had the sin bin and injury affected games.
True.
I remember
God, you've got a good memory, bro. Wow. Sorry, carry on. You're a beast, dude.
When you think about it, like, when you think about it all the time, some things stick with you.
Good on you.
But like he got knocked out against the Roosters really early, and then I think against the Dragons or someone, he had that sin bin game, and maybe he scored like 30, so that brought his average down to about, I think it's like 61, 62.
Yep.
The big thing for him would be if the base is there, and it's not always there. Sometimes the base plus power is quite low sometimes, but other times, like when he's pumping out the base plus power, and he's obviously a great attacking threat running off Hines, he's one of the best hole runners, which is pretty common knowledge. But yeah, like if you wanted to take a bit of a flyer on Nickera, I couldn't knock that, but I would have him a tier below the second rows you've mentioned.
Yep, I've got him in the tier with like Isaiah Yo, Carrigan. These are kind of guys that all have some question mark, right? Like they're just a tier of their own where they could be in that next tier, but there's a question mark. Love the Nickera explanation. For me, just anyone listening, he is the perfect second 2RF. If you get one of those studs and somehow you can grab Nickera, it's just like the dream combo because he can interchange with the number one, or he can just win you weeks by hitting upside. I also think if you get Hines, I think you do whatever you can to get Nickera, because if they connect in those Origin rounds, they're both not going to play Origin. Nickera is a Kiwi. They've also got a gun finals run. That stack, you could go Nico into something else into Nickera, and you could maybe set yourself up for a very just like incredible season of fun watching footy, getting Origin wins, and by that I mean like winning draft matchups during Origin, so therefore you set yourself up for a better finals schedule in your league, as well as they've got a really good finals run too, so love that. Tallis Duncan, can you this is another good one for you, knowing you're a Bunnies guy, can he replicate it? Are you actively targeting? What's the Tallis Duncan summary from you?
I think without knowing what the consensus is of his evaluating his stocks, I think I would be a bit colder on him.
Oh wow, yep, cool.
Yeah, no, he obviously beasted it, like,
Bro,
you know,
that's crazy.
like when he grabbed that edge spot, he didn't really look back. He was close to our best player last season.
Big time.
And
Yep.
he'll obviously start in the back row again. He's got that pretty established. But obviously, with Fifita coming, Ewan Aitken will be on the bench and he'll cover. Murray will be back in the middle. So it kind of leaves that question mark of his role. Does Aitken come on to spell Duncan? Does Duncan spell the minutes that Murray misses? Or is someone like Lachlan Hubner? There's a few. Our pack's quite congested now, which, you know, from an IRL perspective, I won't complain. I'm pretty happy with how the pack's shaping up. But it does raise concern from a Supercoach standpoint.
No, that makes total sense. I was lower on him, and then I've just kind of been caught up in people talking about him and kind of raised him into that pack where, yeah, he's a boom candidate, right? But it's just so much question marks, and he's playing on the right unless Fifita gets injured, so that's also kind of hurts, right? He's not on the kind of the dominant shape side with Cody and Trell. So, yeah, I'm really unsure with him. I think he's someone that I need to maybe stand on business and drop him down a tier and just say, if you get him here and he performs, well done, but the risks are a little high. Just let this Ambo pass or the cop. Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah. Can you hear that? Sorry.
Yeah. No, don't apologise. It's funny.
The motorway right behind me.
Yeah.
So you can sometimes.
Yeah,
pick
that's
up
okay. Yeah, no, you're fine. Okay, Trey Mooney, a quick one. Is he a real deal starter or is he like a rotational risk? Like, what's his deal? Do you think? Like, is he someone people should grab in their front row too? I know he's really big in classic circles as a front row too, pairing with Haas. Do you back that?
I think, naturally, I would look to target him because of the upside. Like, he is a beast when he gets a crack and he's playing starter level minutes.
Yep.
Yeah. No, he's an absolute PPM monster.
Yep.
I don't know how he'll go IRL for his career. Like, obviously he hasn't had much opportunity with the Raiders, and that's probably been a victim of how good their pack's been.
Yeah, 100%.
But whenever he's had a go, he's looked pretty good. If he comes in as a direct replacement to Leo Thompson, I think he'd be upwards of a 60, 65 average.
No, I agree with you totally. All right, Leka Halasima is he just like a fantasy I've got that he'll be like a legitimate guy, or is he still just like a spicy third 2RF that you just play each week and hope he hits his upside, or is he someone I should be telling people to try and grab as a second 2RF?
I might have slight reservations. Like, obviously, because he didn't start in the second row all season. When he did, like, it's going to be hard to replicate the amount of tries he scored, but he's such a freak that I wouldn't expect it to regress too much. But, like, if people do buy into the sensation of what he can be, that might cloud their judgment a bit. I'd probably temper expectations a bit, but I love him. I love watching him as well.
Yeah. So just
it'd be a lot of fun to own.
Yeah, a lot of fun to own. It's more just like how hard do you go? And right now I've got him with Cam Murray in a tier below, like KPP, Kickout, Sewer, where they're like a little bit more job secure. Is that just a bit too high? Should I drop him into the group with like Jack Williams and Corey Horsburgh, or keep him there because the upside's like real?
Yeah, keep him there. Just I guess to hedge against what he might be or what he might not be. No, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, cool. No, I feel good about my ranking. I'm happy to stand on business. You got to back the talent, right? Okay, moving into my thing's not scrolling. Yeah, moving to halfbacks. Just on a time check. We've been running for an hour and 10, so that bit of that was just chat, which is good. And I've got about 15 minutes, so let's crank these. I've only got, there's less players to discuss. Let's crank through the halves here, and then we'll jump in a little more discussion in centre. But you're doing well so far, so appreciate your patience, and I can't believe how good your analysis has been on the spot, so well done. But Lockie Galvin, I'm projecting improvement and value because of the age and the talent. Do you think I'm forcing it a bit, or do you think he does have that preseason under his belt and delivers?
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think he's a gun. He showed it in Wests. He showed it in spurts at the Doggies, but obviously, like, I can't really blame him for having a slow start there.
Yeah, who could? Yeah,
probably felt like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Exactly. Yep.
Just how that played out. But yeah, you're right. Natural progression with age, an actual preseason.
Yep.
yeah, I think I'd be. He's in that like sub gun territory.
Yes,
I think.
correct. Yes, correct. Yes. Draft,
I
it's
would be
more
happy to have him
interesting.
there.
Yep, happy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now you need to help me. I watch a lot of the Dolphins because, like me and my girlfriend, we've decided that they deserve support, so we watch them even though we're kind of like Broncos people as Brisbaneers, and I've always been that since a kid. But big on the Dolphins, obviously targeting Herbie from like a fan perspective. With Isaiah Katoa, is regression incoming as someone who doesn't goal kick, doesn't have a crazy good running game? Like, can he really keep sustaining 65 plus averages of try assists, or is this the new normal? What do you make of him?
If there is regression or progression, I don't think it'd be much either way.
Gotcha.
He would need the goal kicking, and he's a pretty handy goal kicker from what I can gather.
Yep.
But obviously, Osaka's a sharpshooter, so as long as
Yep.
he's in the team, he won't goal kick, and he probably needs that to really jump up into that top tier.
Agreed.
But nah, man, I just think just the way he runs that side, the way he playmakes, like those attacking stats are going to come quite frequently, and I'd probably have him, like, for example, like probably above Galvin.
Yeah, I do have him.
Like some of the other
So just
guys you might mention.
Yeah, so what I've got here, just to kind of clarify, I've kind of got like the guns at the top, then I've got a bit of a break, and then Sammy Walker in his own tier because he's like a gun, but he's kind of got a little... Like for me, it's durability with Sammy. He's just a small dude, and there's a lot of mouths to feed there with like Teddy out the back and a lot of kick try assists, which I know don't get the line break. Do they get the LBA if they kick to like Tupou? I don't think they get the LBA on the kick.
Not the way, not in the conventional way that you're thinking of, like Tupou will climb over the defender.
Yeah.
But they've, like in the last couple of seasons, they've actually added LBAs if, like, say someone kicks a crossfield,
Yes.
and the guy who catches it actually still technically has a line to run past, then they'll give it, but it's pretty rare. Yeah,
so did you notice, and the reason I'm saying this is, did you notice with Sam Walker, like some of the scores were muted by the fact the try assists were so many kick-based ones rather than like how Izzy Katoa puts like Herbie through a hole and it gets all those more points because it's try assist plus line break assist. That's why I've got Sam Walker as a gap between like Campbell. There's a gap between Campbell and Sam Walker, and then I've got another gap between Walker and then like the Dylan Brown, Hughes, Katoa group. Does that make sense to you with where I've got Katoa in that group, or is he a tier below Hughes and Brown?
No, I don't necessarily disagree.
Awesome.
I think I was going to say Hughes. You might be a little low on Hughes in my opinion. I really like Hughes.
Yeah, well, I like that you like him. We can talk about it really quick. For me, it's a combination of no Katoa. I do truly think he's injury prone. Like that's how I draft. I just can't take a guy that's missing these amount of games. But he also has the round 24 bye, which as you wouldn't be prepping for that. But for drafters, that's a pretty big deal. But I have him as marked as a sleeper because I think on his average, he's a sleeper. But for me, when I'm drafting, I don't value him more than Dylan Brown, who's like a jewel. You know, like Dylan Brown, I'm like, wow, he could, like, he's a jewel. But maybe I am too low on Hughes. Maybe I should bump. Would you put Hughes with Sam Walker? Is that probably the gap that I've overpriced?
I don't want to influence you because, like, as I said, like, I'm only really a casual for draft, and I didn't know about I forgot. Obviously, Harry Grant has the line in the same round as Hughes. So.
It's tough. And like Tommy Dearden, I've knocked down because he has a bye in 25, which is worse. And I've bumped Katoa up because the Dolphins have another strong origin period, right? So Herbie and Katoa, they get a bump because they're going to be giving you points if you play buys like my league does, when a lot of players' studs are going to be off at origin. You're going to have like this reliable point scoring machine in theory if the Finns are good enough. No, you're not influencing me. I'm very like collaborative, and I just think it's so hard to rank players. You get like a thing in your mind, you place it down, then a week later your whole mind changes and you need to be flexible. And it's pre-draft rankings because we're away from trials. So this is my initial assessment, is that what would I take under pressure? Yeah, I'd take Dylan Brown over Jerome Hughes because I would get a dual guy who has no bye in my finals run, and I back myself to make finals because I've only ever missed it once in 9 years. So that's like my thinking. But what you're saying is like a nice counter to what I'm saying, which is he's a stud. So maybe I'm being way too harsh where Dylan Brown could be a flop.
Well, yeah, Dylan Brown, I'm guessing like you're factoring in that he's almost certainly going to get the ball. He doesn't have it just yet.
Exactly. I am overvaluing. I've got a question mark next to it, but he doesn't have it. So that's a really good point, mate. Great point. So that's what I need to do. That's why I'm having this chat with you. I think I need to be a bit more respectful of Jerome Hughes' past pedigree and be a bit more honest with Dylan Brown.
Well, yeah, Hughes is another year older. He's like 30 now. He said he's got a couple injuries recently.
So many injuries.
That's always a massive loss. Like, if they can fill that gap well enough, I still wouldn't. Like, if Hughes fell down the board quite a bit, I'd be like, okay, I'd be happy to have Hughes as my halfback.
And I agree with you, hence the blue colouring on my board, if anyone's seen it. It's because he's a sleeper, in the sense of he should be a bit further down the board on the app with the score he's got. So if he's there at like the back of 2 or start of 3, just jump on it. No regrets, no issues. He won't play Origin. That's amazing. He'll just be hammering through Origin if he's healthy. The question is if he's healthy. He still has one of the best running games out of Cleary, Hines, Campbell, Walker, Brown and Katoa. Hughes is still the best runner. He's a fullback by trade. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's just absolute freak. So, yeah, I think that's a good conversation on that. It's helped me just, like, fix my tiering with Hughes. Do you still class Sammy Walker as a cut above Hughes this season, or are they the same quality to you?
Maybe I'd probably have Sam Walker slightly above.
As a goal kicker and whatnot.
Yeah, I feel like maybe compared to the consensus, I might be a bit higher on Sam Walker. Pretty small sample size, but when he came back, he averaged about 80 for them before the head knock.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing would be how DCE in the halves compared to Savala impacts him.
100%.
But I would hope, and I honestly think that DCE would just play a backseat role compared to Walker. He continues to run the team. He still has like weapons around him, and as long as he has Tupou and Mark, like he can kick to either one and just rack up try assists that way. Because I think in 7 or 8 games he had like 16 try assists, which is absurd.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just for the record, in draft circles, you're normal with Walker. I'm probably a little lower on him from an overall perspective, but I'm high on him. I'm on par with consensus in terms of my halfback rankings with my overall board, just because he's so small. Head knocks, shoulders, his shoulders always strapped, he's had an ACL. So what I like to do is place him against players where I would draft or not draft him. But I love him. I love watching him. I think he's so talented. Just wish he was a bit more, built a bit more sturdy. Cool, that was really good. I love that chat. That was really valuable. So moving into 5/8, I've got Blaze Talangi as someone I'm all in on. Am I one season early on him, placing him like just beneath Dylan Brown, but ahead of like DC, Brimo, and Ethan Strange? Am I too high on Blaze Talangi as one of my like key guys this season, my breakout guy?
So you say you project him like higher than those last guys?
Yeah, sorry. I've got him beneath Brown and Munster, and then above like Daly, Cherry Evans, Brimson and Strange as like his own breakout player.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Because 5/8 is a bit of a crapshoot, right?
It's shit, yeah.
If you want to throw a dart on someone like him, and he couldn't produce much worse than he did last season,
that's
both from an IRL perspective and Supercoach.
Yep.
And obviously, if Penrith continue to hit their straps like they did the back half of last season, I think, I'm in agreement with you. I think Talangi's a good sleeper pick.
He just is the most likely type I've ever seen. The amount of balls he dropped over the line late last year, if you were watching, he's just always in and around it. When he was at the Eels, his footwork, man, his ability just to like shed tackles, super incredible like talent. I just think a preseason, Cleary I respect a lot as like a leader. He's like not the most like arrogant guy. He's not too much of a weirdo. I think he would be all about bringing Talangi more into the fold. People say, "Oh no, Cleary runs the show." Of course he runs the show, but have we not seen Yo and Edwards develop into like awesome ball players with Cleary? It's because he wants his team to win. He wants everyone to be good. I've got a feeling there's going to be shape dedicated to Blaze Talangi's strengths this season that they may not have quite had ready last season. So that's just a bit of an explanation for listeners about like why I'm still so high on Talangi. Just due to time, I'm going to skip the Ezra Mam, Cody Nikarima chat because 5/8 sucks. CT Dubs, I'm going to go quick fire here because I've got to make up the time.
Easy.
So what we're going to do, I reckon, for CT Dubs is I'm just going to get you to basically say in or out on these guys, and I'm going to give you like a rough round draft, snake round, so you can just like kind of, you know what you're saying in or out to. Okay. Latrell Mitchell, I can't take him before round 4. Are you in or out on that? Do you reach for him before 4 or in 4, or are you happy to like just fade him with me? In. So wait, is that backing me, sorry, or is that backing Latrell?
I think I'm a bit higher on Latrell than you.
Okay, you're higher on Latrell. Okay, cool. That's good. TMay, are you in or out on TMay as like a top 50 player? Again, Talon. In on him as top 50? You like him? Okay.
I do.
Daniel Tupou. Is him being in my top 12 CT dubs, is that crazy? Are you in on him top 12 or are you out on him top 12 CT dub?
Soft in.
Soft in, love it. Mark Nwonga need to ask that, is he truly a top 4 CT dub again this year, or are you out on him being a replicating top 4 shit?
I can't fence it. Soft in.
Soft in. So, sorry, that he will be top 4 again. You like him? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the hardest ones, Critter. I've got him ranked 16th in CT dubs, which is pretty hard to visualize. I understand that. But do you think he improves on the sort of new ceiling or the new, actually kind of the new floor we saw from him as like this goal-kicking kind of fullback sweeping pseudo-center thing? Are you in on him being like a gun guy or a sub-gun guy in the CT dubs?
I was thinking if that role is retained, and I don't see why it wouldn't. It worked so well for them.
Yep. Okay, cool. In on Critter, good. So my ranking's safe then. I'm happy with that, top 20. Katoni and Shibasaki, really quickly, these Bronco guys, are sitting both in the top 20 for me because I'm just not sure what to do. With Shiba, as you've read in the notes, like we've only got 1 year sample size of him being good. With Katoni, we've seen the flashes, but then he kind of put it together a bit longer last year. Are they both top 20 still? You in on that? Out. Oh, I love that. Okay, you have to tell me why quickly. Sorry, you got to tell me why.
All good. I just think like everything went right for Shibasaki first of all. When Brisbane hit their straps, like it really just worked out so well for them. They just scored huge as the Broncos were making their charge to the finals, and I expect Brisbane to be a really good team again. I'm expecting them to be top 4, but like you said with Stags, in real life, I've always rated him as a top quality centre, but we haven't seen it over an extensive period in Supercoach. Shibasaki I wouldn't be really reaching for either.
Yep, no, appreciate. So I'll have another look at them. For me, it was more just that like someone's got to finish tries, and Shibasaki was bloody damn good at finishing tries, and I don't really see it changing. But I also don't really want. I don't really want him either. So I'm in that place where I've got to rank him according to what he'll probably do, which is give us 65, right? Because he'll have his 80s and he'll have his like no ceiling but decent floor 55s, and he'll net out at like 65. But I just don't really want either of them. But I can't deny him either. So I appreciate that. That's a good chat. Selwyn Cobbo. We in on him being relevant in 2026?
Yes.
We're in on him, yep. But you're soft in, I can tell, by the same way I would be, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, obviously the left wing for the Dolphins is prime real estate. I don't know what's going to happen when Bostock's healthy.
Yeah.
If it were up to me, I probably wouldn't even have him in the team. I know that's a hot take, but what I think will happen is he'll come back and Cobbo will play in the centres or something.
Yeah, I think they've got him pegged at playing right centre, and maybe there's rumour pushing Herbie to right, which makes no sense, but I'm pretty sure he's looking at right centre. I've got him as a draftable guy, someone that you probably have to reach for. He could return it, but I would only do it if you really believe in it, or you're sitting pretty in your draft and he falls down. I think he's a caution boom candidate though, to be honest. Maybe I'm a bit high on him because we don't know about the role. Fullbacks, oh my god, I forgot about fullback, but I've got 4 minutes to my next call. Okay, I've got Kinney and Drinky above Turbo. Just tell me, am I insane? Say insane or think well thought out?
I'd have Turbo above, but I'm not sure about the late buys.
Yeah, he's sort of fine for buy. I think it's like 22 or something. So he's fine, but for me it's just like injuries and whatnot. But he burnt me. He's burnt me 2 years out of the last 3 or 4 or whatever it is. So I'm a bit like over him. But
I've
probably
had him in a couple drafts as well.
Yeah.
He's more friendly for classic because there's less consequence. Obviously,
yeah, you just trade him out. Yeah. So maybe I need to put him in the same tier as them and just get rid of my bias, which is anti-injury prone guys. I just hate it.
But he can win you the comp when he's going. So,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to
it's tough. Yeah, that's cool.
Not insane.
Yeah, not insane. Okay, gotcha. Not insane, but just maybe just temper it a bit. Okay, Kalen Ponga. Would you draft him? Yes or no? Doesn't matter where. Just would you take the risk?
Oh yeah, he should be drafted. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, he won't be on waivers. I mean, like, would you take him or would you look to a different position and just grab like a fullback like Hamaso, for example, instead of Ponga?
Ooh.
That's what I mean. Sorry, would you pay him at
Ponga
name price?
If Ponga was the last of that group that I know you're probably referring to,
Yeah, so for me, it's like Dylan Edwards and a huge break, then Ponga, and then a break, and then Isaiah, Iongi, and then Hamaso. Would you still take Ponga over Iongi and Hammer, but not over Edwards?
Yeah, that's
perfect. Okay. Isaiah Iongi, he's in my top 10 fullbacks. Am I crazy?
No.
Cool. Didn't think so. I love him. I think he's an absolute stud. Stuart Fa'alongo, if he was your fullback at the end of a draft, your starting fullback, do you think you've cooked the draft, or are you like, you can make it work?
I'd be happy with that.
Okay, happy. Cool. Love it. All right. Well, we are out of time, unfortunately, but that was absolutely amazing. You did so well thinking on your feet, dude. Well done. It was awesome to chat. Congrats
Pleasure.
again on winning the whole thing. If people enjoy this, we will maybe get back together and discuss some changes I make to the board or anything that happens. Maybe you can review my classic team before kickoff if they enjoy it. But more than anything, thank you so much for giving up your time and including me in the community you've got running over on your side of things in Discord.
No, thank you, Hudson, and likewise, thank you for letting me be privy to your tools and your community. I can't wait to get cracking in draft.
Dude, can't wait to see who you draft and chat about it. It's going to be so good. So thanks again. I'm going to end the recording right here, dude.